is Valerie White-Williams and Vocal Splendor Studios, and today I would like to talk to you about why does opera sound so strange? Opera is one of those things that evolved in the courts of Europe, really. And so opera evolved at a time when there was no amplification, and it began in the courts of Italy actually when they were pretending to kind of access what they thought were the Greek plays. And these little people would do that in the courts and put on these plays with some of the trained singers or the people who worked in the courts. And so what happened is that kind of medium became more popular. It moved into bigger and bigger halls. So when the middle classes began getting more power in Europe, they wanted opera too. So opera evolved into these large auditoriums where people had to project their voice over a large hall. And then the orchestras ended up getting bigger and bigger and bigger as opera began. So it began in Italy and it spread throughout Europe. So it really evolved a singing style, which is, of course, not natural. It's not natural to like heave your voice over this huge, room, and then do that while you're acting and doing all these kind of crazy shenanigans on the stage. So the singing tradition evolved a hyper focus on resonance. There's what we call singer's resonance, the singer's formant, and what it is the vibration that opera singers sing at, which is not so much loud as it is resonant. And so they sing over the orchestra because there's a vibration where the orchestra is heard and the singers sing over it. So it's really super resonant. Training is about getting the mouth up, really create this resonance that is going to fill a huge hall. And yeah, that's way more than most pop singers use today. So what happened in the 20th century, in the jazz era, is that was when the microphone came into play. And when that time happened, then the difference between the more popular singers and the more hoity-toity opera singers really began to grow. Because before the microphone was invented, anyone who was performing in a big hall would project in a very powerful way because that's all you could do. That was it. So it's just maybe like the social class or the style of singing, but earlier in the vaudeville area, people still had to project as well. The microphone changed everything, and it changed how the voice was used because you didn't need to like project into this huge hall. The mic would do it for you, and so more understated or more natural ways of singing was allowed to be heard in a concert setting. Now, when the instruments became amplified, which happened later, because originally the big band was like things like piano, string bass, not amplified music, but later, and then horns, and horns are loud too. But once the instruments became amplified, then everything was up, and then we definitely need that microphone to survive, because it's a different resonance frequency that we're working on. So back to opera. Opera sounds weird because it is not natural, yet it is an art form. I think of opera as very much like ice skating or gymnastics in the Olympics, meaning their artistic expressions and how they do their routines. There's a lot of choice. Oftentimes there's a music that's involved, certain choreography, but it is athletic, and the people who do it and are world class are amazing. You and I, who are not trained, can't just jump in and do backflips and all those hard exercises. We hurt ourselves. Opera is that way as well. It requires incredible breath energy and training. Most real opera singers who are actually, in fact, let me add this. An opera singer is not just somebody who sings vibrato, and it is also not the 10-year-olds on talent shows. Those people are not opera singers. They might aspire to opera, they may have vibrato, but an opera singer is really somebody who sings the repertoire as it was written, the keys they were written, and ideally and usually means they perform on the stage. Singing an opera song or an opera aria does not make you an opera singer. That's way more involved and way more intense, just like people who are doing balance beam flips. So it doesn't happen overnight. Those people are not self-trained on the balance beam. They've had decades of training to get to the Olympic levels. Opera is likewise. The people you see on the stage that are touring the country have also had probably a good solid decade of training and experience, probably more, because it is so intense and so athletic. And that's why it's great to see. And that's another thing I want to talk about opera. Opera is meant to be heard live. A recording usually just doesn't do it justice, and you don't get the sense of this huge voice just coming at you so powerfully. So when I've gone to the opera, I've been lucky to go to Seattle Opera this last couple of seasons, and when there's a powerful voice that comes straight at you, it's amazing. You just can't even imagine how that is. And all sorts of voices can get that resonance. It's really about training the resonance and then to act and emote and be, they're huge artists in such a big way. They're definitely singing athletes. So I hope this has maybe encouraged you to kind of listen to opera, maybe give it a shot. Let me add one more thing, and this always happens. Now, part of the thing about opera too is that there is bad opera and wonky opera. Just like every genre can have things that aren't as good. So in the opera world, when we think of bad opera, or people who have, is the big wobble, whoa, okay, we call it a wobble. And a good voice, a good opera singer is not going to have that wobble. They're going to have that spin and spiral that's going to cut through, but it's not like the Cowardly Lion, the Cowardly Face, the Forest. We want to have that big ring and the spin, and the spin is what we're looking for, and the ring. So go to your local college, go seek out some opera performances. There's a new group that's taking off around the country called Opera on Tap, and it's where a lot of opera singers will actually put together performances and sing in bars and taverns, bringing real live opera singers right in front of your face. And when you get the sense of a real awesome, amazing opera singers opening their mouth and having the sound that soars out and it punches you in the face practically, it's an amazing and powerful experience. So I hope you get a chance to try that on, to experience the singing, and then maybe you'll even experience the singing of opera, because singing opera is so much fun. It requires a lot of time to prepare to get to that point, but it is really, really fun. And not every opera singer is listening to opera 24/7. A lot of them I know like all kinds of music. They love rap, they love rock, they love everything. But singing opera is absolutely fun, as it would be. I mean, just like being, I'm sure, a world-class gymnast would be fun too. I'm not one, so I can't say, but I did do gymnastics as a child, and I was far from world-class. It was fun, but I just didn't really have what it took, and that's fine, because I was doing something else. So it is very fun to watch these singing athletes, and that's why it's different. But yeah, give it a shot and see what you think sometime, and let me know. Have you been to the opera? Have you heard real live opera singers in person in front of your face? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it. All right, take care and have a great day.